Imagine a world where birds didn't just fly overhead, but towered above you, their massive beaks capable of crushing bone with a single strike. This wasn't a nightmare. This was reality in South America, millions of years ago. Welcome to the age of the terror birds, the apex predators that made even the fiercest mammals think twice. For over 60 million years, these colossal avian hunters dominated an entire continent. Standing up to 10 feet tall and weighing as much as 300 pounds, they were nature's perfect killing machines. But here's what most people don't know. These birds weren't just big, they were strategically brilliant hunters with abilities that would make modern predators jealous. The terror birds, scientifically known as Phorusrhacidae, first emerged shortly after the dinosaurs went extinct. South America was an island continent back then, completely isolated from the rest of the world. This isolation created a unique evolutionary playground, and the terror birds seized the opportunity to become the undisputed rulers of their domain. Their skulls alone could reach up to 2 feet in length, housing a beak so powerful it could deliver a force equivalent to a modern-day sledgehammer. Recent studies using CT scans have revealed something extraordinary. The internal structure of their beaks was reinforced with a honeycomb-like pattern, similar to modern engineering designs used in aircraft construction. Nature had invented advanced biomechanics millions of years before humans even existed. But the most terrifying aspect wasn't their size or their beaks, it was their speed. Fossil evidence and biomechanical analysis suggest that some species could run at speeds exceeding 30 miles per hour. Picture this, a 10-foot-tall bird weighing 300 pounds charging at you faster than an Olympic sprinter. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. What's even more fascinating is their hunting strategy. Unlike modern birds of prey that rely on talons, terror birds had relatively small, almost useless claws. Instead, they weaponized their beaks in ways that seem almost intelligent. They would grab prey with their massive beaks, lift them off the ground, and repeatedly slam them against rocks or the earth until their bones shattered. This wasn't just instinct, this was calculated brutality. Scientists have discovered something even chilling in the fossil record. Bite marks on ancient mammal bones show a distinctive pattern, precision strikes to the skull and spine. These birds knew exactly where to attack for maximum damage. They were surgical in their violence, targeting the most vulnerable points of their prey's anatomy. The diversity among terror bird species is mind-blowing. There were at least 17 different species, each adapted to different ecological niches. Some were built like tanks, slow but incredibly powerful, capable of taking down prey twice their size. Others were lean and fast, pursuit predators that could chase down the swiftest mammals across the ancient pampas. One species, Calaquenchen guillermo, holds the record for the largest bird skull ever discovered, measuring over 28 inches long. To put that in perspective, that's longer than most human torsos. Imagine looking up and seeing that beak descending toward you. The psychological terror alone would be paralyzing. Here's where it gets really interesting. These birds had binocular vision. Unlike most birds whose eyes are positioned on the sides of their heads, terror birds had forward-facing eyes, giving them depth perception similar to humans or big cats. This meant they could judge distances with deadly accuracy, making them even more effective hunters. The environment they lived in was equally extraordinary. South America during the Cenozoic era was a land of giants. Massive ground sloths,
armored glyptodontes the size of cars and crocodilians that dwarfed modern species all shared the landscape. Yet the terror birds stood at the top of the food chain, feared by all. Recent discoveries have revealed that some terror bird species may have been pack hunters. Fossilized track waves show multiple individuals moving together in coordinated patterns. If this is true, it changes everything we thought we knew about avian intelligence and social behavior. A single terror bird was deadly. A pack of them would have been unstoppable. Their legs were pure muscle and bone, built like biological battering rams. The femur bones show incredible density and strength, capable of delivering kicks that could break ribs or shatter skulls. They didn't just bite their prey to death, they could literally kick them into submission. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery comes from analysis of their inner ear structure. The hemicircular canals, which control balance and spatial awareness, were highly developed. This means terror birds had exceptional agility despite their massive size. They could make sharp turns, sudden stops, and rapid directional changes while running at full speed. Imagine trying to escape something that big, that fast, and that maneuverable. The sound they made is something scientists have tried to reconstruct. Based on their syrinx structure and skull acoustics, they likely produced deep, resonating calls that could travel for miles. Picture a sound somewhere between a lion's roar and an alligator's bellow, but amplified through a massive resonating chamber. It would have been the sound of impending doom echoing across the ancient plains. What's truly remarkable is how long they dominated. 60 million years of evolutionary success. For context, modern humans have only been around for about 300,000 years. The terror bird's reign was 200 times longer than our entire existence as a species. They were the definition of evolutionary triumph. Their extinction is shrouded in mystery, but we'll explore that in the next part. For now, understand this. The terror birds weren't just prehistoric curiosities. They were sophisticated, intelligent, and brutally efficient predators that redefined what it meant to be a bird. They proved that you don't need to be a mammal to rule the world. Sometimes, all you need is a beak, powerful legs, and 60 million years of perfected hunting instincts.
The decline of the terror birds is one of paleontology's greatest mysteries, but recent discoveries are painting a picture far more complex than simple extinction. Around 3 million years ago, something changed. The Great American Biotic Interchange began, and South America's isolated paradise was about to face an invasion. When the Isthmus of Panama formed, it created a land bridge between North and South America. Suddenly, terror birds faced competition they'd never encountered before. Saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and other placental predators that had evolved in the brutal competitive environment of the northern continents. But here's the twist. The terror birds didn't just roll over and die. They fought back, and some even invaded North America. Fossil evidence from Texas and Florida proves that at least one species, Titanus walleri, made it into North America and survived there for hundreds of thousands of years. Think about that. These birds were so formidable that they successfully invaded a continent filled with advanced mammalian predators and held their ground. They were the only South American predator to successfully establish themselves in the north. But why did they ultimately lose? The answer isn't what you'd expect. It wasn't direct competition that doomed them. Recent climate analyses suggest that rapid environmental changes played a crucial role.
The terror birds had evolved in stable, warm climates with open grasslands. As ice ages intensified and forests expanded, their hunting grounds disappeared. They were specialists, perfectly adapted to one environment, and when that environment changed, they couldn't adapt fast enough. Here's something that will blow your mind. Terror birds might not be completely extinct. Their closest living relatives are the Siriemas, chicken-sized birds that still live in South America today. These birds exhibit remarkably similar hunting behaviors, using their beaks to strike prey and displaying surprising aggression for their size. They're like miniature echoes of their terrifying ancestors, living fossils that carry the legacy of the giants. Scientists have studied Siriema hunting behavior to understand terror birds better, and the results are fascinating. Siriemas will grab snakes or rodents with their beaks and repeatedly slam them against the ground, exactly like their prehistoric cousins. This behavior has been passed down through millions of years of evolution, a direct link to the age of giants. But let's talk about something truly bizarre. There's evidence that some terror bird species may have been partially omnivorous. Fossilized stomach contents and coprolites have revealed plant material alongside bone fragments. This suggests they were opportunistic feeders, capable of supplementing their diet with fruits and vegetation when prey was scarce. This adaptability makes their extinction even more puzzling. One of the most controversial theories suggests that early humans may have encountered the last terror birds. Some species survived until as recently as 1.8 million years ago, and primitive humans were spreading across the Americas around that time. Could ancient humans have faced these monsters? There's no definitive proof, but the timeline makes it theoretically possible. Imagine the stories those encounters would have generated. The biomechanics of their hunting technique has been recreated using computer simulations, and the results are terrifying. When a terror bird struck with its beak at full force, it generated enough energy to penetrate thick hide and crack bone. The beak would act like a pickaxe, concentrating all that force into a small, sharp point. One strike could be fatal even to large prey. Their neck muscles were extraordinarily powerful, capable of generating rapid whip-like strikes. High-speed camera studies of modern Siriemas show strike speeds of up to 15 feet per second. Scale that up to a 10-foot terror bird, and you're looking at strikes faster than a human can react. By the time you saw the attack coming, it would already be over. Here's something that keeps paleontologists up at night. We've only found a fraction of terror bird species. South America's fossil record is incomplete, with vast regions still unexplored. There could be dozens of species we haven't discovered yet, some potentially even larger or more specialized than the ones we know. Every few years, a new species is described, each one adding another piece to this incredible puzzle. The largest terror birds, like Kalenkin, may have been capable of taking down prey as large as ancient horses, or even juvenile toxodonts, rhinoceros-like mammals that weighed over a ton. Bite mark analysis on these fossils shows the distinctive pattern of terror bird attacks. They weren't just scavengers picking off the weak, they were active hunters taking on dangerous, powerful prey. Their intelligence is another fascinating aspect. Brain endocasts reveal that terror birds had relatively large brains for birds, with well-developed regions associated with problem-solving and spatial awareness. They weren't mindless killing machines. They were smart, calculating predators, capable of learning and adapting their hunting strategies. Some species showed sexual dimorphism, with males being significantly larger than females. This suggests complex social structures and possibly elaborate mating displays. Imagine a 10-foot-tall terror bird performing courtship rituals, using its massive size and powerful calls to attract mates. It would have been one of nature's most spectacular shows. The fossil record also reveals injuries and healed bones, showing that these birds engaged in violent confrontations, possibly with each other. Territorial disputes between terrabirds would have been apocalyptic events, two massive predators clashing with bone-crushing force. The winner would claim the territory, the loser might not survive. Climate data suggests that terrabirds thrived during periods of global warming and declined during cooling periods. This makes their story eerily relevant to today's climate crisis. They were supremely adapted apex predators, yet environmental change brought them down. It's a sobering reminder that no species, no matter how dominant, is immune to the forces of nature. The last known terrabird species, Scylopterus, survived until about 1.8 million years ago in Argentina. It was smaller than its ancestors, standing only about 3 feet tall. Perhaps this was an evolutionary response to changing conditions, a desperate attempt to survive by becoming more adaptable. But even this wasn't enough. Here's the final haunting truth. The terrorbird's extinction wasn't a single event, but a slow decline over millions of years. One by one, species disappeared as their world changed around them. The last terrorbird that ever lived died alone, the final representative of a lineage that had ruled for 60 million years. With its death, an entire chapter of Earth's history closed forever. But their legacy lives on. Every time you see a bird, remember that you're looking at a dinosaur's descendant, and the terrabirds proved that birds could be just as fearsome as any dinosaur. They were evolution's experiment in avian dominance, and for 60 million years, that experiment was a spectacular success. The terrabirds remind us that Earth's history is filled with incredible creatures we'll never see, ecosystems we can barely imagine, and evolutionary experiments that defy our expectations. They were real, they were terrifying, and they ruled an entire continent with beaks and talons. In the grand story of life on Earth, the terrabirds earned their place as some of the most remarkable predators that ever lived. And who knows, in some remote corner of South America, in unexplored fossil beds, the remains of an even larger, even more terrifying species might be waiting to be discovered. The age of the terrabirds may be over, but their story is far from complete.